Cecil, two good news stories. Massachusetts Institute of Technology to waive tuition for families making less than $200,000. And the University of Texas System announces free tuition for students whose families earn $100,000 or less.
That's surprised. The Texas one surprises the shit out of me because you're in a state where they like hate, I think, a lot of left-leaning policies, and this feels very left-leaning. Free college feels very left-leaning.
It would be wonderful. You know, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, theirs is all coming from private funds.
It's all endowment. Like big schools like this can do this sort of thing because they just make money off of the endowment.
Right. So they have a huge amount of, just cash stockpiled because the people that go to MIT generally turn out STEM degrees that earn them huge amounts of money. And they're able to feed it back into the machine, right? Yeah. So the machine self-supports. And this is amazing. It's amazing. But this also feels like one of those stories which, while it's wonderful and I love it, it just highlights the urgency of this being a national proposal.
Yeah.
This should at the fucking very least be true for community college. What the shit are we doing? That we recognize, I think sensible people, and this is not most of us, it turns out, but sensible people understand that the world becomes more complex and that expertise in different parts of the world is going to be urgent in order for us to compete globally on a financial, economic, creative, technological level. So where do we get that but through education? And whether that education is in fucking HVAC repair or in continental philosophy doesn't actually matter over much, at an individual level. But there are lesser and lesser opportunities to be really successful in the economic system that we are in without some education beyond high school.
I agree. And I think I like the model. And I think this model, to me, feels like good policy across the board. Pick a number and say these people have to pay for school. They've benefited from our society in some way. And it's like a tax, right? You have to just pay for your kid to go to school. That's okay. Other people don't have to, but you do. Right? You pick a number. I actually would like to see a more gradated number. So it's not just this is the cutoff. It's not the cliff, right? I would like to see them say, if the cliff starts at, if it's a cliff, it falls off at 100. I'd like to see that, people leading up to that have to pay some, right? Mm-hmm. And then we grade it out so it's not as bad, because somebody who's, a millionaire doesn't care. Somebody who's making $100K a year, that might really affect them, right? We do this we pay for, our taxes pay for public school.
Right.
It just stops once you get to university for some reason. And it didn't used to do that. Right.
Yeah.
There used to be a lot of money that went to public universities, and private universities got lots of grants from the government. And it used to be that the government paid for quite a bit of education in our country. And then they stopped. They just decided, we're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
We're going to cut all that stuff off. I worked at a university for 22 years. And almost every year of that university, there was a comment from someone to you as a worker there to say, by the way, you should write your congressman to tell them not to cut our black blah, blah, blah grants. And you should talk to them about definitely sign these petitions that say, because that's a huge cut in the university's budget once that stuff goes, right? So they were for many years like, look, we need this money from the government to help, and it helps subsidize the tuition. Right. It changes so the tuition isn't as much. And that's just how it works. And for some reason, we as a country don't think that it's a good idea to somehow, there's like you said, a cliff you have to fall off. Well, there's a cliff you have to fall off now for college. There's a cliff, man. And suddenly people are not exploring colleges. And you're going to see a huge brain drain in this country because people are going to leave colleges teaching there because there's not work there anymore. So you're going to lose a lot of smart people who were teaching people how to be smart. Those people aren't going to be there anymore. And you're just going to see a lot of people who aren't going to go to college because there just isn't any incentive to do it anymore because it's so prohibitively expensive.
Well, Linda McMahon is going to pin this down and body slam this into the ground.
She's going to pile drive it.
Fuck us. This is a good news story from CBS News. Texas woman known for driving strangers in need gifted new vehicle by Philadelphia car dealer. Lynn Story, a retired Fort Worth resident known for giving free rides to neighbors in need despite her own financial struggles, received a brand new vehicle from Philadelphia car dealer David Kelleher after her story was shared on CBS Mornings. Kelleher, moved by her dedication to helping others like cancer patient April Goodwin and blind neighbor Kevin Horrigan, not only gifted her the car, but also covered all of her expenses, including insurance and an extended warranty.
Aw.
That's awesome.
I think that's great.
I
man.
love this. And I love, too, that her response to it is like, I'm going to drive more people.
I love it. I think it's so great. I read this and I thought, oh, what a wonderful story. You know, and I think too, I hope this starts becoming something that we can do more often. Cause every week we sit down to read the news and I'm always so just like, fuck.
I know. Dude, I want to tell you a funny story about that because like Cecil and I have talked about like, we're going to have to incorporate more positive stuff in the show.
Yeah.
But I am so mindset struck. Like, I just want to acknowledge like what a piece of shit my brain is that I read this and I'm like, okay, so obviously the angle is how we lack mass transit. Like, I'm just like, you know what I mean? Like my brain immediately is like, Cecil put this in for me to criticize. Like, because that's what we've done now for 16, 17, 18 years, whatever it is. Like, there's something that's just good about this.
Yeah.
That's just good. It's good on both levels. It's just nice. And I don't want to go down a road of that.
I mean, I feel like there's plenty of ways to criticize it to be like, oh, they're just doing it for their own good. But they saw they were on CBS this morning, so they're going to give a car so that this can go on CBS again.
We can be so cynical.
We get plenty of marketing and blah, 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 blah. And I'm sure somebody could send a message and say, yeah, it's a great business thing for them to do because then they could do this. And I'm like, but it could also be that the guy just wanted to help people.
Right.
And it could also be, and it could be both.
Yeah.
It could be both.
I was gonna say, like, sometimes when we're nice, there's something that we get back from that, but it doesn't mean that we should just not do the nice thing. Like, I'm gonna be honest, man. I love giving Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
I would be sad as a me to not give Christmas presents.
Yeah.
There was a year, I will say, like, in, I think 2016 or 2017, my life was in a little bit of chaos and I didn't get Christmas gifts for everybody. Christmas just kind of snuck up on me and I didn't give everybody that I would normally give a gift. Dude, I still remember it. Because I'm like, that sucked. Mm-hmm. That sucked. Not just for the people that didn't get a gift, but I was like, I didn't get to experience the joy of giving something.
Sure.
Like, it's okay to like enjoy doing nice things. That's a good thing.
It's all right. It's all right. Yeah.
Right.
And I think this is a great thing, right? So somebody has a junker car and then they're just using a Nextdoor app, right?
Yeah.
So they're on this Nextdoor app. They get a chance to meet other people and these people need help. And what I read too, when I read this, I also had this part where there's a blind person who can't get their medication. There's somebody else who they also mentioned that was disabled. And I'm like, why do we not have public services for these people? If there's anybody we're going to help and protect in our society, why shouldn't it be the people who need the most help? And we're just like, nah, man, those people be fine. That blind person, they can make it to the, we just don't do anything, right? Or those services are so hard to find and the processes in order to get them are so Byzantine that they just don't bother, right? They're just like, fuck, I can't get there. I got to get a whatever and it takes forever, et cetera, et cetera. But this person was like, yeah, sure, I'll just drive you there.
I'll just do it.
I'll just do it. And then they did it.
I thought too, like, you know, like if you're a retired person, I thought of my dad immediately. My dad loves to drive. I actually might mention this to him.
Yeah.
Because my dad's like, you know, he's not disabled, but he's not real mobile anymore. He's very not mobile now. And I know most of the day he sits around and like reads a book and watches TV. He's retired. He's 77 years old. So like, I think we'd actually love doing this.
I'd like to do it.
He just likes to, like, he would love to be useful.
Yeah. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. We'll be back on Thursday. We're going to have a goofy show for you. And that's going to wrap it up. But we're going to leave you like we always do with the Skeptic's Creed.
Credulity is not a virtue. It's fortune cookie cutter, mommy issue, hypno Babylon bullshit. Couched in scientician, double bubble, toil and trouble, pseudo quasi alternative, acupunctuating, pressurized, stereogram, pyramidal, free energy healing, watered downward spiral, brain deadpan sales pitch, late night info docutainment. Leo, Pisces, cancer cures, detox, reflex, foot massage, death and towers, tarot cards, psychic healing, crystal balls, Bigfoot, Yeti, aliens, churches, mosques and synagogues, temples, dragons, giant worms, Atlantis, dolphins, truthers, birthers, witches, wizards.
I gotta quit. Coaching these kids is driving me
nuts. Shaman healers, evangelists, conspiracy, doublespeak, stigmata, nonsense. Expose your sides. Thrust your hands, bloody, evidential, conclusive. Doubt even this.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/dissonancepod. Help us spread the word by sharing our content. Find us on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and Threads, all under the handle @dissonancepod. This show is CAN credentialed, which means you can report instances of harassment, abuse, or other harm on their hotline at 617-249-4255 or on their website at creatoraccountabilitynetwork.org.